Today I want to show you my writer's toolbox for overcoming writer's block. I love musical instruments to use for a creative reset. These instruments, which you can find at your local thrift stores, are just a great way to get reset. It's a nice way to transition. You've got music, you've got movement, you've got sound. As you move back and forth across both parts of your body, you're getting everything realigned. And also, it's just kind of fun. So I suggest finding some instruments that make you smile and adding those to your writer's toolbox. I have some other ones I'm going to show you here too. These are really fun, the maracas. These have a different sound, a different style, a different feel. You can shake things up. These are also good if you get stuck when you've already started a project and you need a reset. In addition, I also have my drum, which I also love. This is great to do before you get started, or again, after you've started and you're stuck and you need a transition. And you might be thinking, well, what do these kids' toys have to do with overcoming writer's block? And it's just about taking a moment to get into a different mindset. Instead of just sitting there and staring at a blank page, which you've probably done before, and how often does that help? And if it does help, how long does it take? Sometimes it gets really frustrating, doesn't it? So a little drum like this is fun. You can make so many different sounds depending on what kind of drumstick you use. Again, you can find things like this at your local thrift store. I think I bought these for $3 or $4. You can also find them on Amazon and put these into your writer's toolkit. Also, here's a great idea with Christmas coming up in just a few months. If you're looking for some fun gifts for the writers that you know, and if they already have everything like, you know, and journals and their favorite pens and their favorite pencils and the journals that they like, think about getting them something like this. When they say, what's that for? Just say, hey, this is your creative reset kit. You could even get them like a little bundle like this, put it in a bag, and then write out a note or type something up and print it out. Your creative reset kit. Also, in my writer's toolkit, I have an hourglass. Now you've seen me use my other hourglass when I do my 10-minute story workshops. And I keep this hourglass in my box because it's small enough to fit in there. And why an hourglass? Well, I don't know if you've heard about the idea of constraints before, but sometimes to get something done, it can be helpful to actually put a constraint on it. Now, if you're someone like me and you like to have a lot of freedom, and even the word constraint just makes you think, no, that makes it worse. Well, just bear with me. Sometimes just a short constraint can help your brain kind of kick into gear a bit. So maybe you set a timer and you say, okay, I'm going to set this hourglass, and don't start working on your project yet. Just tip the hourglass and say, I'm going to write down as many words as I can that start with the letter A. And just do that. And you know what? That's going to warm up your brain, and that's going to help you get to the next step in your writing project. And when your brain has this little challenge, the challenge being to beat the hourglass, it will give it that little spark and help you continue to move along. So the next item in my box is a little bell. Now I'm sure you've probably heard the story of Pavlov's dog, and that is, or dogs, and that is being trained to hear the bell and salivate. Well, in this case, we're going to hear the bell, and it's going to be a signal to our brains that it's going to be time to start writing. You can also use the bell like you would a musical instrument, just as another way to just break that silence, to just break the silence and just get yourself into a different atmosphere, a different sphere. Use it with the music, use it as a fresh start. Maybe you do the music first, like this. And then maybe you challenge yourself with an hourglass, and you write down as many words as you can that start with the letter Z. And then before you sit down to start writing, there's all kinds of different ways you can combine these different techniques so you can find the one that works best for you. Now, in addition to these items, I also like to keep different types of writing media in my box. Here I have a collection of watercolor pencils. And these watercolor pencils, you can use these to warm yourself up for writing. You don't have to write with them. You can draw with them. And even if you don't like to draw pictures, these are really fun because you can get them wet. First, you just color directly on the paper with them. Then you take a paintbrush and you're going to get it wet, and then you can just blend the pigments of the color. So what you're doing is you're taking your blank page and you're making it beautiful, in a very easy way, and you're getting your brain ready because you're warming up your hand. You have your hand and you have this paintbrush, and you're moving your hand and you're reestablishing that hand to brain connection. And that's going to get your brain ready to go into the writing activity. And so that's why this is something that can be very helpful to overcome a writer's block, even though it's not directly about writing. It's about painting. Which gets me to my next item. Watercolor paints, which is the same idea. With this one, you're going to have your brush and your paints and your blank page. And you can make the blank page beautiful with a simple stroke of color. And just by doing this again, you are warming up your brain. You are making that hand-to-brain connection in the way that you will be as you're writing. So I really suggest that simple watercolor or watercolor pencil painting as a pre-writing exercise can be highly effective as a tool for overcoming writer's block. If you've seen my writing workshops, you know that I also really like colored markers. Now, the colored markers I use in my 10-minute story workshops and my case files workshops, I use the thin point markers that I actually write with. But as part of my Overcoming Writer's Block toolkit, I like to use these fatter markers. And I like to do with these is I like to draw dots on paper, because drawing the dots on paper and the squiggly lines on paper, again, this is not writing, but it's writing adjacent. So it's something that you can do to help warm up your brain and get your brain ready and warmed up to go into your writing project. So now let's just take a quick look at what we have in your writing toolkit and how you can help build your own. Number 1, musical instruments, especially the ones that make you smile, like a tambourine, maracas, a drum, an hourglass to give you a little bit of a time constraint, just so your brain can have that spark. A bell to help signal to your brain that it's time to get started. Watercolor pencils and watercolor paints to signal that we're going to move into a writing adjacent project. We're going to take some color, we're going to put it on the page, and we're going to make the blank page beautiful. We're going to warm up the brain, we're going to be making similar movements, and we're going to reestablish that hand-to-brain connection. And finally, a series of markers in our favorite colors. We're going to be making dots on the page. We're going to be drawing squiggly lines on the page. Again, this is going to help prepare us for the act of transitioning from squiggles and dots and lines to writing words. And there you go. If you have a writer who's having a birthday coming up, or if you're starting to work on Christmas gift ideas for the writers in your life, I highly suggest that you build them their own writer's block toolkit. You can get these items at local thrift stores. You can buy them on Amazon. I provided some handy links below just in case it will help you out. And when they say, "What's all this for?" you can tell them, "Hey, go watch Rachel's video and she'll tell you exactly how to use them." Thanks for being here with me today, and let's go make the blank page beautiful. Our own. Now, before we start going through the items in my box, let's take a moment to remember what writer's block really is. So writer's block is not actually a block. It's actually a gap. And the gap happens when you switch from one task to another. So let's say you're about to start working on your writing project. Now, let's say right before you start, you're on your phone and you're scrolling, and then you're like, okay, now I need to get started on my writing project. So what's happening is you're transitioning from passively consuming content, which is the scroll, to actively creating content. Well, this is two completely different mindsets, and your brain needs a chance to transition from one to the other. When you don't take a minute to transition, what happens is that gap, that block where you're just sitting there and you're staring at the blank page because your brain needs a moment to get warmed up. Your brain needs to know, okay, we're transitioning. We need to get ready. We're going to switch. We're going to start doing some deep work. We're going to be doing cognitive work. And so to make that transition easier, there's several different things that we can do. And some of those things are in this box.